Hi, my name is Nick McMillian. I'm the head men's soccer coach at Randall University in Moore, Oklahoma, and I've been asked to give some recruiting tips for any kids in high school about trying to go play at the next level, which is college. I think the first thing you've got to realize is that what's the best thing to get noticed by a college coach? I think there's many ways you can kind of look at that question and kind of look at that answer, but I think the biggest thing is you personally have to put yourself out there. I think recruiting websites are great. I think going to showcases are great. If you're just playing high school ball, I can almost guarantee you that you're not going to get noticed as well if you're not doing kind of a showcase or something every single weekend. And that's just from my own personal experience. I get a lot of kids who are just playing some form of high school ball and they're not getting the exposure as kids who are traveling every single weekend. And now I understand kids can't do that financially, and so I mean it's kind of if you can, you need to do it. If you can't, you need to just make sure that you're really trying as much as you can to email coaches and talk to coaches. At that same time, if you're not able to do that financially, and if you're not able to do some of those things of trying to go out and see coaches every single weekend, I think it's 100% okay to be a walk-on. At our college, we accept walk-ons because they're more driven than a lot of the other student athletes. Coming in as freshmen, every kid has that desire to start. Every kid has that desire to prove to that senior that they need to be on the team. And I think regardless of class, I think that's how walk-ons are. I think whether this is their first year at the college or their third or fourth year at the college, I think walk-ons kind of have that extra oomph that some other kids may not have. And so personally at our college, we love walk-ons because it kind of makes that desire of the whole group kind of work a little bit harder. Because if you're a scholarship athlete and you're getting beat out by a walk-on, that kind of makes you want to try even harder to make sure that you can retain your scholarship. Now, that's one of the ways to get noticed, by going all that kind of stuff. But kind of like I had mentioned just a little bit earlier, I think a good way that kids don't utilize is that they don't talk to coaches. They're not emailing coaches. They're not trying to get their name out there. I think that is something that is completely underrated in today's kind of recruiting process. I think nowadays kids are so self-centered and that I'm the best player, coaches should come talk to me. I think that's not the way to look at it. I think that you should try to also put yourself out there, because across the United States there are thousands and thousands of colleges that are looking for players daily. There are hundreds of recruiting websites. There are hundreds of showcases. So coaches are always looking for players. I think that if you can kind of send your name out there, you may have just as good of a chance to get a scholarship or to get maybe a potential preferred walk-on spot, rather than just staying where you're at and not really opening your horizons. I think that's also the biggest thing to do if you're a high school player. I think you need to broaden your horizons. Now, it's okay to say, I've wanted to go to this college for my whole life. This is where my mom went. This is where my dad went. I think that's completely okay. But at the same time, I think you need options. I think every high school kid needs at least up to 5 or 6 different options of where they want to go before they kind of start limiting that down. Because realistically, if you focus on just one college, what may happen is you may, and I don't wish this on anyone, you may get injured or something may fall through. They may find someone that's better than you, and then it may be your senior year and you're looking at no scholarships offers because you've been so focused on that one college. So I think as you're going through high school, you really need to broaden your horizons, and if a coach talks to you, you need to talk with them back, because that kind of starts building that bridge. So if something does happen, you can kind of say, hey coach, I'm sorry, we kind of lost contact. Is there still potential there? Because that's when coaches go, something just happened. We can kind of work with that. And I'm more likely to talk to a student if he kind of says, we used to talk, we don't talk anymore. Is there still a chance that I may be able to go to your college? Rather than some kid who has completely blown me off and then tries to come talk to my college. With scholarships, I think that's always a tricky part, especially in today's society where scholarships are so iffy. I think you've really got to be questioning what your scholarship financially covers, and then what does that whole package kind of ensue. Because I think a lot of schools, they say, oh, you're going to get a full ride, but that only may cover your meals and dorms, but then it's not covering your tuition, all of your fees, and your books. And so kids may get all excited they're getting a full ride, and then they get to school and it's like, oh, you have to pay such and such out of pocket. Oh, it's not really a full ride. And so you really need to be careful when coaches give that kind of offer to you, or kids kind of say that. You need to say, what all does that ensue? And I think as high school students, you guys need to ask those questions, because a lot of times you may get a full ride to go to a college, but it may not be the best thing for you when you look in the long term and say, oh, what does this all cover? You may only get a full ride here, but at another school, they may be able to offer you more money, but not consider it a full ride, and they can cover more stuff. And so I think that's something that kids don't look into nowadays. They're so focused on that full ride that they don't realize that if it's just a full ride, what else can they cover? And so at our school, when you get a scholarship, it kind of the way our tuition is, the books and fees are included. So anytime you get money towards your bill, that's going to cover the whole thing rather than that. And we kind of break it down for you more in our financial aid office, and they're pretty good about that. The last thing I will leave you with is, how do you keep that scholarship? A lot of kids kind of fall through the cracks, if I may say, that every single year there's hundreds and thousands of kids that are wanting to play college sports. I know you guys have all probably seen the statistics, but at what point in time can you keep your scholarship? I think the biggest points for that is you have to continue to work hard. If you're a freshman, you have to continue to work hard when you're a sophomore. Same thing as a junior, same thing as a senior. Just because you are a senior in college does not mean you will keep your scholarship. That is the biggest thing I would try to tell kids, that I've seen hundreds of seniors lose a lot of their scholarship money because there's a freshman who works twice as hard as them, and they've got more years of eligibility. So you have to continue to work. And if you're not doing what the coach is asking you, then you can kind of tell you that scholarship money is going to go away. And so if you're not keeping your grades, if you're not going to all the workouts, you've got to be able to say, I want to prove my best every single day to this program and to this coach. And coaches will realize that, and they will see that. So if you want to be in college, if you want to be a player in college, you got to follow just the simple rules. You've got to go out there and you've got to get noticed. You've got to do those quick little things that I mentioned earlier. And then when you're looking at the kind of scholarships they can offer you, you've got to see, what does this cover? Does it cover my full bill? Does it cover part of my bill? Or does it not even cover a third, but it sounds nice because it says some fancy scholarship term? And lastly, once you get that scholarship, you have to continue to earn it. Just because it's given to you doesn't mean they can't take it away. Some programs, a lot of times, they'll take away a few thousand or a few $100 just because maybe you may not be able to run as fast, or you may not be able to clock your mile at a different time. You've got to continue to work, because if you're not working, we're going to find someone who wants it as bad as you, or who wants it as bad as what you used to want it. Thanks, guys.